the Gambia 10. Welcome to the Facebook News Review, Sabally. It's been a while.
Thank you, and congratulations, by the way.
Okay, we're not doing that on TV, are we? Thank you very much for coming through. Like I said, Sabally will be talking to us today on a range of topics, the recent happenings in the Gambia. It's been too many, and let's start from the beginning, the airport tax levy. I think it almost feels like the discussion is on emotional basis, and then we are not looking at the bigger picture here. Of course, when we talk about airport tax, like this is tax that is levied on passengers for passing through an airport. Now, it is generally imposed for the use of the airport, as we all know. And it is one of many taxes that are actually usually added on the price of an airplane ticket. The question is, why are they deciding on doing this manually? I am not the economist here, but what are the macroeconomic effects of this tax levy?
I think it's a very bad tax, by the way. As you said, there are already taxes inbuilt into the cost of air tickets. And we know generally the Gambia is a tax-based economy, but the tax burden is already too high. So trying to levy a new tax because of errors done by government officials, because we have the inside story, is completely wrong to add an additional $20 for every person who flies out of this country.
And for anyone who comes
in. That is bad, because the whole world over, what governments are trying to do is to stimulate their economies. How do you do that? Give cash to your citizens, your workers, or reduce the tax level so that the economy can grow. Basic Keynesian macroeconomics. If this government cannot do that, it is completely outrageous, disingenuous for this government to increase the tax burden, especially a country that relies heavily on tourism. It's completely wrong. This is a nuisance tax.
Do you think this decision will bring in the elasticity effect? And how?
Absolutely. People have choices. That's why in economics, one of the most important concepts is elasticity. Once you increase or reduce a price, how do people react? It depends on the availability of alternatives. Unfortunately for the Gambia, we have alternatives, because people already, even without this obnoxious levy, people are flying through Senegal and coming by land to the Gambia. Senegal is trying to eat away into our tourism industry that's been here for decades. So if you do this, you're actually improving Senegal's advantage. Already we know we're losing industry to Senegal because of bad fiscal policy by this Mojo government. We know government did an outrageous increase on taxes on Julbru. What happened? Julbru shifted their operations to Senegal. Gambia becomes a warehouse. Now the little tourism that we have, they are going to hurt that one also with this very bad tax. The tax is bad. They have no business doing that, number one. The very fact that they are going to collect it manually, Manbo would have Maruslo. I mean, at the very gate into the country, you're giving such a bad impression in this 21st century. You're collecting cash in a box as if they know that Sarah Mirial. Even if they put it into the cost of a ticket or something, it's even better. Collect it in a civilized way. But you levy a $20 on a technology product, because it's a technology project that they are launching there, and then you collect manually. One step forward, one step backward. It's totally bad for the country at several levels.
Are you actually worried that they are planning on collecting this manually? Because we know the history. It's been here before.
They said they are collecting it manually, and it's bad. And if you look at the memo that was leaked on social media by Civil Aviation, if you look at the tone, you can decipher that the authorities at the airport don't actually like this. Because the language is, we have been directed to inform you about this. So that means there's a disconnect even within the government itself. It looks like the Aviation Ministry, which is the Ministry of Works, is the one imposing this on the Civil Aviation Authority. And the language is very clear, they don't like it. And what really makes this bad, Sayo, we have this high tax level, at the bridge, at the Senegambia bridge. It's such an awkward arrangement there. You have ferries represented. I don't know which other institution, whether it's the ministry represented. So you buy a ticket, move to another place, so it to another place, as if we are living in 1960, all because of the lack of seriousness of this government. Basic stuff like collecting a revenue. Why should this be complicated? And it all points out to the same ministry. And this collection, physical collection of cash, I think there's intended corruption in this. We need to look at it very properly. people need to start challenging this government. Because we know that part of the, this is not the first time this issue of the levy came up, right? You know that.
Yeah.
It came up before, like last year. They suspended it. Why? What happened? There is an allegation that some top government officials took a bribe from the investors who are bringing this here. And they don't have a way of granting the concessions that they promised them. That's why ultimately they had to do this. The government itself knows this is bad. It's that their hands are tied. But this is bad for the country. Whatever it took, they should have stopped this, squashed this, find a way of compensating whoever you promise concessions, but don't make life more difficult for Gambians, especially diasporas. A Gambian coming for holiday here is going to be taxed $2,000 is for what? It's completely unacceptable.
And like you said, like tourism is one of the huge sectors where a lot of Gambians earn their income from.
Yes.
Do you think there should be a reaction from the players in the tourism industry?
Sayo, the point is Gambians are too docile, definitely. I just read that the market vendors just conceded to government for making life difficult for them. The price of bonga fish charlo was just $25 last week. You cutting the people's time that they need to go and fend for themselves by half, and prices are going up and people are making concessions. I was so angry last week when I heard that Hamad Ba is bragging that they're giving each worker in the tourism industry $50 after closing down a season for 6 months. And that money is not even coming from government, it's coming from UN. When this same government is telling us they sold their IMS assets for $1 billion, what's happened to the $1 billion? We don't know where it is. People are suffering here, from the victims to the people suffering from this COVID. Out of that $1 billion, what did they do? Bart Kamidu gave $100 million to his friends at Alpha Capital, and Gambians are sitting down as if nothing is happening. The tourism sector is going to suffer. I think the people working in this industry need to organize themselves and march to State House and ask Adama Barrow for better policy. This is wrong.
But why is the ministry itself being silent on this? They know the impact of tourism in this country.
Well, they don't care. That's the fact. In fact, most of the top officials in this government don't care about whether their sector is moving or not. All they care about is what's going to come inside their pocket through bribery and other shady deals. That's it. We've all heard about all the noise from GT Bob. Their boss was just jettisoned out of his office like that. I think Gambians, you sitting down on a time bomb. This government is deliberately destroying this economy. By the time you wake up to this and react to it, it will be too late. Take it from me.
But how are they destroying the economy? But this is the same government that tells us the economy of the country has grown by this percent.
Yeah.
Through the help of the IMF, actually.
It's called lip service. The government is just paying lip service, and the IMF is a politicized institution. I know that very well. But what I am saying is, your tourism season, just the COVID is bad enough for tourism. We know definitely tourist numbers are going to come down.
Oh, absolutely.
Tourists themselves who are coming, their economies are better. They're not going to spend. You impose an extra tax, you're definitely going to see a reduction in the number of people coming into the country. So this, they already predicted, despite all their political numbers. I just read from the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee press release that they predicting actually a slowdown in the economy by minus 1.2%. So it's already happening. And you know what's bad?
What does that mean for the country?
Well, when GDP goes, the GDP is the cake that we all share. Fatu Network is part of that business. AfriCell is, QCell is. Everybody is operating in the economy. If it is small, you get a smaller size of the cake. Basic. But then normally what happens, it affects the poor and vulnerable communities more. They're giving the people in the industry like $50 each. The same ministry is saying they're going to give money to the hoteliers. If you look at the amount they're going to give these hoteliers, it will be way above, thousands more than what they are giving the ordinary people. And that's why I'm telling Gambians, market vendors, good step, tourism industry, organize yourselves and fight for your rights. That's the moment we've reached now. But because this economy is going on a nosedive. Nobody can stop it. And it's mainly because of bad policy by this government.
And should this one be actually scrapped, this airport levy?
No, absolutely, it should be scrapped. And they know it. Why didn't they implement it straight off from last year? They were delaying it. I think what happened, they thought they could stop it, but finally found out maybe the investors who brought in this equipment are pushing them, because if you take money from an investor, you promise him something, it's not happening, at some point you have to do something. Otherwise, you'll be exposed. But this is really, really a very bad levy. And I think government, even if it means going to levy a tax elsewhere, that is better than affecting our tourism industry negatively, squeezing money out of the hands of our diasporas who will be coming in and out, and making the country look bad by putting Potisara Sidir Airport. It's very bad for us.
I think that airport levy topic has been exhausted like in the right way. Now let's move to another hot topic that's been, on the social media and everything. The issue of Iso Williams and Ibrahim Asila, who is the Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure. Saps, what's your take on that?
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not impressed. I think I'm not even bothered. Gambians, we need to be fair and sincere in our nation building process. This is not the first time Ibrahim Asila is censoring the media. Ibrahim Asila kicked out Gis out of GRTS at the time some people were clapping for him. Unfortunately, the same people who were clapping for him are some of the people complaining now that he's censoring QTV.
But he has vehemently denied the allegation that he had a hand in it.
What else will he do? What is Ibrahim Asila's job? He's the government's chief propaganda officer. He will deny it. I mean, looking at those views on that YouTube channel, it looks like it was pulled down and then put up again. So, I mean, it's nothing new, but it's about time. Gambians should not wait to see whether it's Sadio Brito who is censored or Mamadou Sabally or X. Censorship is bad. Ibrahim Asila has been doing it. Bifilu S. Sigis Lakostate, and he's doing it in several ways. A couple of days back, an interview of mine was played on GRTS. It created a big row there. They said, why should they play my interview on GRTS? Because I'm speaking and promoting UDP. And who is in charge of GRTS is directly under Ibrahim Asila. It's nothing new. I believe he's guilty of it, and he should stop it. Because he's behaving like the dictator that he was criticizing 4 or 5 years ago. It's wrong.
Well, you say the GRTS is directly under Ibrahim Asila. I mean, Abdul Toure is the man in charge.
Who is his minister? Every government institution reports to a minister.
So you actually think that Ibrahim Asila still has a hand
I
in micromanaging?
I know that Ibrahim Asila has his hand in how GRTS is being run. I know it. I'm not thinking. I know what's happening in this government. Even at State House, I know what's happening there.
Actually, one of the comments that ISO made was that freedom of the press is finally in jeopardy in this country. Sometimes people say the freedom of the press is under threat in this country. What do you think?
I think it is. I think actually it started off with self-censorship, and the media, some of these media houses should be ashamed of themselves. I think QTV started this. In your case was one such issue. They censored you, and you could not take it, you left. So if you start censoring yourself, you are giving a green light to government to come and invade your house. So look, we have to understand that we are building a nation. No matter what the setbacks are in this transition, we still want to move forward as a nation, and we should be able to have decent and sincere conversations about what's happening in this country, regardless of who is at the receiving end. And even those in government should just be careful.
I mean, these are part of the things that actually strengthened a democracy.
It's supposed to be, but really, and it's not just media, even business operators have started playing very coy, because they feel that if you seem to be associated with it. I know a particular businessman whose businesses are being directly attacked by State House, and he doesn't have a choice now. He's even scrambling, trying to shift part of his operations to Guinea-Bissau. But this was not why they fought for the change.
That's no. Why would a government go so far in fighting a business?
Well, I'm sure they're even doing worse than that, but it just, it's sad. I said this at the change of government. I have a businessman friend. I told him, look, you are going to need the very same strategies you used to survive in the IMS government that you would need to survive in this government, and that's what's happening.
What was the strategy? Attach yourself to government?
Well, even if you are not supporting government, you pretend to be supporting them and detach yourself from I know business people who support opposition parties here. Some of them, when they are visiting, they go at night because they don't want Barrow or his SIS to know that they have any association with people in the opposition. But this is very bad for any government, not but talk less of a transition government that attacked and criticized and vilified a government they called a dictatorship for more than 22 years. It's too sad. At least you have 5 years over. It's wrong.
And now talking about government, we've seen the papers. It seems like Barrow is asking the Economic Union of African States to actually, allow ECOWAS to prolong their stay in the country. What's your take on that?
Well, it just shows the shortcomings and the failures of the Barrow administration. It is very sad if a government that came to power on a popular vote cannot trust her own citizens to provide security for her, and they have to depend on a foreign force. As far as I'm concerned, ECOWAS is no longer a peacekeeping or intervention force. ECOWAS is an occupation force in this country, headed by Senegal, a country that has a strategic interest in this country to maintain a weak leadership so that they can siphon our resources and take it to their colonial masters, France. That's the way I see it, nothing else. ECOWAS has no business being here. Our brothers and sisters in uniform have the competence, loyalty, and patriotism to be able to provide security in this country. Barrow is doing this to strengthen himself.
The presence of ECOWAS, how do you think it impacts the armed forces, the security forces?
The morale is dead. Sorry. I have a very close relationship with the men and women in uniform. From when I was in office, when I was in prison today, I think all of them as brothers and sisters, their morale is dead, completely dead. You know, let's face this. ECOWAS is just Senegal plus few extra forces from other countries. You have the relationship between the two countries. The Senegalese, they don't deal with us on the basis of mutual respect. I don't want to go into the details. You know what I'm talking about. You bring them down, then you have no my issue. The average Senegalese. Mansour exception. There are always exceptions. I have friends among them who respect me, but generally, even if you on transit in that country, if they know that you Gambia, what do you say, Mboka? And the way they say it, it's not fun. It's like they're trying to ridicule you. So you bring those people with whom we had a record here from 1981 when Jawara brought in that ill-fated confederation. You bring them back here to come and lord it over our own patriotic brothers and sisters. They are around your president. I understand some of our senior officers on occasion had issues with them just to have access to State House. It's wrong. It's unjustifiable. We can run our country. If Barrow can trust the public service, there's no foreigner in the public service. Why can't you trust those in uniform? We are all Gambians. A civilian is not better than a soldier. Perhaps the soldier is even more patriotic. But Barrow knows why he's doing this. He's trying to entrench himself. This is a civilian government. The only thing that makes it civilian is Barrow does not wear
the military clothes.
Safe House is a military garrison.
What is the way forward, Saps?
Well, I think the country is at a dangerous crossroad. Barrow should admit that the transition has failed. It's like when your computer has viruses and it's not functioning. You don't force the computer. You won't keep on beating this when you stop working. You bring a technician, use antiviruses, clean your computer, reboot it, let it work. That's what Barrow should do. I think President Barrow should call in his coalition partners, let them talk again and strategize. I think we are at a time when we needed a government of national unity.
Don't you think that ship has sailed, bringing in the coalition partners?
Well, better late than never. I think President Barrow knows his government is not working. And it's partly because this government is no longer enjoying goodwill. The majority of Gambians don't like this government. The majority of Gambians have lost hope in this administration. And that's why I have a problem with a survey recently published by the International Republican Institute, IRI Gambia, saying 58% of Gambians think this country is going in the right direction. Maybe they're living on a different continent. And these international NGOs, we know your games. Stop interfering in our politics. Stop trying to subliminally manipulate the emotions of Gambians. We know what we want. We are changing this government in 2021 and nobody can stop it.
Thank you very much there, Saps. Thank you very much for coming through to the FAP Network News Review. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. We'll go for a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Tough Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens.